Run, don't walk from Missing Real
with Mike Darrigo. Beware of the podcast Missing Real with Mike Darrigo. If you listen, it will boost my ego. It's yet another Missing Real episode, and I am joined today for some horror, some classic, really gooey horror stuff by another friend and fan of all kinds of movies, good, bad, and everything in between. Please welcome back to the show, Quan Ngo.
Thank you for having me again, Mike. I love being on the show, and I love talking movies and talking shit with you.
There you go. Me too. All right. We're going to talk about the Blob today. And we're going to be talking specifically about the 1988 Blob, because that wasn't the first Blob that ever oozed across the screen. But you know that, right? Of course you do.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's a fun remake.
Right. Of course. Well, it's been ages since I watched the original Blob, but I always used to watch it. It's all the way back from 1958, for God's sakes. And I know neither one of us were around at that point. But yeah, what special effects, even back then, I was pretty impressed, because that was one of the first monsters I've ever seen in a movie that wasn't just some dude in a rubber suit.
Mm-hmm.
There was actually something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. I don't even think computers, if there was a computer back then, it would have been the size of a house.
Yeah.
But no, there was no CGI. That was like real. That was like an actual
the way
bowl of Jello come to life.
And then they just superimposed it over the scenes.
They did something. I don't know how it was done, but I never really delved into the old Blob. But gosh, man, that used to scare me. You know, I used to watch it on TV in the afternoons. It was showing like on those after-school horror movie channels, and they would show Blob. And I've had some classic favorite horror monster movies and stuff. But what was your original first maybe monster that you ever watched in a movie, whether or not it scared you or not?
First original monster, I gotta say, this is definitely one of them. Oh, Alien, probably. Like, one of the xenomorphs was probably my earliest, like, monster. It was really weird growing up. My parents, like, I was allowed to watch horror movies and violent movies and, like, serial killer movies. Not a problem. But the second that there were ever, like, a pair of tits on the screen, my parents were going to cover my eyes. And I'm like, I just literally watched a guy get disemboweled, and yet all of a sudden tits are the most evil thing? What happened?
Right, yeah. Yeah, sex and violence, man. You got to draw the line.
No, the line was before sex. Violence, no problem. Yeah. Like, I remember being a little kid watching Cobra, you know, with Sylvester Stallone when he was
of course I do, yeah.
Yeah, my father was so okay with me watching that movie, except for the naked scenes. And, like, I think the one scene where they were fucking, he's like, no, you can't see that. I'm like, okay. I mean, I just saw, like, you know, that weird guy with a freaking jutted out lip just kill, like, 3 women, but all right.
Yeah, you can't have sex with women, but you could mutilate them all you want.
Apparently, yeah, that was the message I was getting.
Well, you turned out just fine, as far as I could tell. I don't know, but
yeah, well, you can't tell.
It's a bit early. It's a bit early in the game here, but so far so good. We've gotten through a lot of episodes, and so far no body count. But yeah, this Blob thing. It's only because it was something that you can't even you can't imagine where it could be anywhere. You know, could squeeze through any crack or crevice. You would be. You know, I'd be sleeping at night, and of course, besides the eggs from Alien, the original Alien eggs, I used to be afraid with the lights out, is the Blob, you know, seeping up the wall or from behind the headboard. It was just scaring the living crap out of me, even though it was just, you know, Jello, and it could have been a little scarier, maybe a big giant lump Jello, if maybe like, you know, Bill Cosby was riding on it or something. It could be a little more scary, but it was creepy and weird, and seeing it on the screen, just like it looked like it was really alive. You could picture like they did a pretty damn good job, even with the old special effects.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I recently watched this movie, you know, just for we can do this episode, and knowing what I know now, thanks to I guess school and stuff, I have a lot of things I want to say about the Blob itself.
Okay, you mean the creature itself?
Yeah, the creature itself.
All right, you say those things then before I go on with my scripted banter.
All right, so what I've seen so far is, from what they said in the movie, they said it was a bacterial and viral thing, which is just stupid because you can't be both. It has to be either or.
All right. Well, you have a science background. Good for you, man. But you're talking about the 88 Blob, right? Because the old Blob didn't explain much of anything. It was just a Blob.
I actually never saw the older one from the 50s.
Okay. You're missing out, but it's based upon that, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You know, I'll throw it on my to-do list.
Yeah. One of these days, watch it, you know. It's like watching the old Star Treks, from the 60s. I mean, you'd rather watch the J.J. Abrams shit, but watch the old ones, man. They're classics.
So the way I see it is, it's some type of organism that resembles, I guess, like a biological cell, not a plant cell, an animal cell. And the way it kills and consumes people to create its masses by, oh my God, I already forgot the term I was thinking of.
Well, it absorbs or digests things.
Yes, and from a
living things.
Oh my God, I really have to look this up now because it's really bothering me.
It's all right. Yeah, go to your textbooks.
Yep.
I got notes in front of me too.
What's the
and
term?
now a word from our sponsor. No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's my bad. How does it? It's the engulf. Oh, phagocytosis. Thank you.
Phagocytosis. All right.
Yes. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that word. I've learned it so much in so many different bio classes and other things.
That sounds like a borderline un-PC kind of word, but what is phagocytosis?
So phagocytosis is when a cell engulfs another either cell or organism, like the way white blood cells, certain white blood cells, attack bacteria or infections inside the bloodstream. The cell will expand and then wrap around the target until it's completely engulfed and then digest it, which is pretty much what happens to a lot of people inside of this movie. The only difference is the blob actually grows exponentially the more it consumes. And as we go through the movie, you'll see by now you must have seen this movie if you're listening to this, but
I would hope so.
Yeah. It can only consume organic materials. It can't consume anything inorganic. That's very obvious from one of the scenes when there's a gold football ring, like a high school ring, inside of the blob that clearly is not being broken down.
It can't break down, metal or any inorganic object. I guess maybe the bones can still get. You don't see a whole bunch of bones inside of it either. It's just a big red mass.
Bones are organic. It's mostly calcium.
Yeah, marrow. It's tasty. I occasionally enjoy a bit of that too, but not like the blob. It's been likened to like a giant stomach, rolling around, and it's like being on the inside of a stomach, except the outer surface is the inside of your stomach, just for example, and it'll digest whatever touches it, but pretty quickly. This thing doesn't waste any time. You can't just hold it and cuddle it. It's like once you touch this thing, you're melting and being absorbed into it. You're its snack.
Let's see. There's also the way it moves as well. The way it moves is actually very similar to the way a cell moves as well. That's why I keep thinking that the blob is nothing more than just an overgrown single-celled organism.
Yeah, but a cell cannot get that big without
it cannot. So like
many cells. Yeah, like atoms. There's no such thing as a big giant atom. It would just be a bunch of atoms.
Yeah,
I have to tap into my
very similar to a cell, especially by the way it moves. It extends a part of its body and then pretty much, uses that to hold on to something and then slides across or rolls, through.
Well, the funny shit is that's what's happening in the 88 Blob remake. But the old Blob, it basically just like oozes around and just, goes over stuff and eats it. But this new Blob is like busting out tentacles and twisting around stuff and changing its shape at will, kind of.
Yes, which was very odd that I saw that. I'm like, oh, so even though it is very similar to a cell, it has the ability to shoot out tendrils to, ensnare or grab their victims.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that when I watched it as a remake, because I was like, oh shit, I didn't know it could do that. Or like it even forms a mouth in one scene. It sort of like extends itself and becomes kind of like a big giant orifice with a throat almost.
So that's the phagocytosis, the way it opens up and then just engulfs its target.
Right, but if it wants to form a mouth or like a set of jaws, it just does that just like to show off, or because it can.
Yeah.
And maybe because it looks a little bit scarier than just, okay, it's a really big pile of Jello. Again, you want to like frighten the audience and show off your up-to-date, whatever state-of-the-art special effects department that this movie had in 88. But it looks awesome. I'm just going to circle back just a tiny bit before I forget, because we're going to move forward, not backwards after this, but touching on a couple of other cool, weird monsters, around the same time as the original Blob was showing on TV. I don't know. Do you remember? These are some really obscure ones, but I'm going to throw them out there just to see if you remember them. Did you ever see the green slime? It's kind of like what it sounds like, but it's another old-ass movie. I mean, it might be, again, from the 50s or 60s. It has that sort of production to it. But if you never saw the green slime, it is green slime, and it grows into these rubber suit guys with red eyes and tentacles, and they electrocute people, and they make this really annoying mewling sound. And it has a theme song. It's kind of like just like some soul green slime. It's really cheesy.
This movie looks horrendous. I want to watch it. This looks.
Oh, you're checking it out.
I'm literally Googling it right now, and I think it looks hysterical.
Oh, yeah, you'll love it, man. It is terrible. It's like all miniatures, like a lot of miniatures and models and rubber suit dudes, but If you just spend a few minutes listening to the sound of the monsters, you're gonna want to just turn the audio off. But it's great. It's a classic. Yeah, watch that one day. And one more for you, since we're talking about these old ass movies that I grew up on. There's you ever heard of Triffids? Well, they actually are. The Day of the Triffids are these killer plants that eat people, but they don't go after you unless you make sounds. Like kind of like a Quiet Place, but they're much slower and not scary. That movie. Well, you might hate this more because it's even like more glacially paced, but it's just these plants that'll come after you and they'll sting you and they'll eat you, but you never really see a person getting eaten. I think they remade this one also. But the stupidest thing about the Triffids is the sound they make is also, it's kind of like the sound of you shaking dice when you're playing backgammon. So you just go like, hey, plant. It's like, it comes after, it starts dragging itself by its little front branch, just dragging itself very slowly towards you. Go, yeah. And right, you know exactly where they are, and just run. If they get you cornered, then you're a goner. But if you spray some pesticides at it or something, I don't know. But they get killed by. Oh, I don't want to spoil it. Should I spoil it? Now you watch the shit.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
But yeah, that's all right. It's not a big secret. It's like if I told you the ending of The Crying Game, you haven't seen that shit yet. Oh my, I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah, they all die in the end. I know.
Right? Yeah. He's already dead and had a penis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like The Sixth Sense. All right, let's talk about the Blob then. And the sequel, there was a sequel to the old Blob too. Beware the Blob, directed by Larry Hagman. It was the movie that JR shot, but it's even worse than the original Blob, and it was done very tongue-in-cheek, like not really a serious movie, but I remember it was pretty good. It had some cool blob effects and people getting killed and absorbed and phagocytosis and stuff like that.
Phagocytosis.
I'm sorry, I mispronounced it.
Yeah.
This also reminds me a bit of The Thing and the way Thing cells work, and
yes.
That's a whole other episode.
Well, we could still get into that later if you'd like. The way the similar comparisons to some parts.
Yeah, I mean the Thing compared to the Blob, The Thing is like exponentially more scary to me
and
over the years. Yeah, and intelligent. It could be standing right next to you, and it could be your best bud. It could be your drinking buddy, and in a few minutes it'll be drinking your cells.
Yeah,
you wouldn't know. The paranoia of that. Yeah, I mean, but that's like that's the all-time #1 horror movie for me of all time. So, but The Blob being remade in 1988 was cool and directed by Chuck Russell. He directed a few things. I think, gosh, I'm a little bit confused now because we're going to talk about Freddy and Jason pretty soon. But I think he directed one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I think he did the third one. Anyways, yeah, Chuck Russell did The Blob, and he wrote some good movies, and he directed The Mask with Jim Carrey and Eraser with Arnold.
Oh, Eraser was the shit.
He did some good stuff, yeah.
That was The Mask, but yeah.
This is a solid movie. I think the guy enjoys horror, and he knows how to deliver it to us 80s audience members craving a nice update. Because The Blob, they boasted like the special effects in this movie, and you would just see shit that you couldn't believe compared to the old Blob. You're probably just going to laugh at the old Blob. But, when we first saw those, it's like, damn, that's some good special effects. And it looks real. And I'm not going to eat dessert from the fridge ever again. I mean, a spoon will not protect you. This new Blob, it opens in a town, it's like a really quiet town, looks like a ghost town, but it's only a ghost town because everybody in town is watching the football game, and you get these teenagers, and the characters aren't that bad. No superstars.
It actually has probably one of the best protagonists because, he's the lone wolf kind of guy from the high school. He's the badass. He's got a motorcycle and a leather jacket and a giant mullet.
Yeah, well, that's why he rules. And of course, this is Kevin Dillon, Matt Dillon's lesser-known brother, but a cool dude. He plays Brian Flagg. But Kevin Dillon, I loved him in this movie. He's also in Platoon, The Doors, and of course, he's on Entourage, Johnny Drama. So he had a career too. Maybe not quite as he wasn't in Something About Mary, but that's all right. He's in The Blob, and I would take that.
I think he did great in this movie, and I really actually like what the hell's the girl's name? Lori.
All right, well, the character Meg is played by Shawnee Smith. Yeah. Shawnee Smith is a Stephen King veteran in a whole bunch of good King shit, like The Stand, and she has a cameo in The Shining, and she's in some of the Saw movies. And she's cool, yeah. She's all right. She's a pretty good protagonist.
That's who she is.
That's who she is, man. Yeah,
she's the crazy drug addict who works for Jigsaw. Yes, okay, now I remember.
Right, like a victim turned acolyte. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, all right, yeah. But back to the Blob, but yeah.
Well, she's in The Blob, and she's a good leading lady, whatever. And her and Kevin Dillon there got some chemistry, and they have no choice because she's really not his. He's not the one she was intending to be with for this movie. She was going to be with the other dude, Paul.
Yeah. Okay.
And he gets quite gooed up in the first act of the movie, and he's out of there. Yeah. Despite all of his efforts. No, sorry, he's not making it with the woman. He's getting a different kind of wet surprise.
Yeah, you're not wrong. He gets a different pink surprise.
Well, whatever color it is, maybe red, pink. It's just not his lucky day. Let's put it that way. But there's a cool setup of you got the old man that sees the meteor falling from the sky, and him and his dog go investigate. He's brilliant enough to go poking at it with a stick, and the blob gets on the stick, gets on his hand, starts eating his hand. They take him to the hospital. There's the sheriff in town flirting with the waitress there at the diner. These are just all of our characters. Most of them will be dead by the end, but a few of them survived.
Yeah, but for some reason, everyone hates the guy Brian because he's like the troublemaker in town. His mom's like an alcoholic. They don't know who his dad is. And Meg is she's the good girl. Her dad's a pharmacist. Her mom, I assume, is a stay-at-home mom. She's got a little brother. Like, pretty much what you picture from, like, the perfect suburbanites.
The old nuclear family.
Exactly, yeah.
The hospital thingy doesn't go very well because they take the old man in there and he gets eaten by the blob while he's in the waiting room. I guess they have to fill out all the paperwork from the damn healthcare system. You'd be absorbed before you could even get your insurance on the phone. So he is absorbed. The old man gets eaten by the blob. Paul checks it out and then he's like scared shitless. You have a quick little cameo, the doctor being played by Jack Nance from Eraserhead, for any of you real David Lynch movie geeks. I don't know. I haven't even seen that movie yet, but I know that's him.
The nurse in that scene sucked ass. I really hated her, and I hated the doctor.
Yeah. They're like, is this the hand injury? Yeah, okay. Ain't much left to...
I love the way, because, what's the guy's name? Paul? Comes running, he's like, yo, someone's dying.
Someone's dying in there.
Yeah, and then the lady's just like, whatever. I'm like, what? This is the shittiest hospital I think I've ever seen in my life.
There's an alien organism eating him alive.
Oh, it's not only that, too. It's just like, yeah, we get that, the old man who came in, he's a crazy homeless guy. But, I mean, if if a random teenager comes running into your office screaming at you, hey, someone's dying. Like, the doctor took his fucking sweet-ass time to get up out of his chair.
Does he have Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yes, you're right. I completely forgot about that.
They're asking about his insurance, The nurse is licking the paper to turn the pages. That's like one of the most obnoxious things anyone can do when you're waiting for them to serve you and then touch their spit-on paperwork that you have to fill out. I hate that.
Yeah,
so,
especially when they ran in saying, oh, yeah, we just hit this old homeless guy with our car.
Yeah, and the sheriff comes there and arrests him, I guess, for the murder of the half-melted old man, because, most badass leather jacket-wearing guys carry around a bottle of, hydrochloric acid or whatever and just dump it on homeless people.
Oh, I mean, you go from, town troublemaker to fucking, psychotic killer.
You're never supposed to side with the police or the authorities in these kind of movies. They're always, like, standing in the way of the heroic teenagers, even though, there's a couple of decent actors playing the cops there. Yeah, Jeffrey DeMunn, the old Frank Darabont regular guy, Shawshank, Green Mile, all that shit.
Yes, thank you. That's who he is.
He's in a lot of good stuff. He's in The Hitcher, the old Hitcher, the good Hitcher. He plays Paul Giamatti's dad in Billions, which that's a feat right in itself. But that's just his CV is really big. And by the way, Frank Darabont co-wrote the screenplay for this too, so that's why it's so damn good. I think it's a very good screenplay. Like, there's really no fat on the screen. It's like every scene sets up something cool, and the dialogue is good, and everybody gets a couple of good lines off before they're dead. It's a lot of fun.
This is just a good monster movie from like the 80s. This is really old. It's just a great monster movie. Yeah,
and it's a monster we kind of know, but it's got like a new suit, a facelift, visually pretty impressive. There's not really any bad cheesy shots, even now in all of the modern CG things that we've been looking at. This doesn't look too bad. Like, you don't see any like strings or sticks going up the blob's ass or anything. It looks real, like it's really there. It's moving.
Yeah,
it's moving and shaking. And my only quip is, like, how does this thing just like ooze along the streets of the town and through the woods and everything, sewers, everywhere it goes, and it's still like spotless. It's like it doesn't pick up like dust, and it should be like ashy gray instead of like a shiny pink twinkly slime. It should be filthy, man.
Yeah, but I think that it's probably better looking, red and all that stuff.
It does. Yeah, and when it absorbs, I think it starts off white, and once it starts eating people, the blood turns it red. I think that's...
Yeah. No, that's a good assumption.
Yeah, the first time you see it, it looks like a big white loogie, and then it finally starts sucking down on some flesh and, gets a little color in it, little blood typo negative or whatever. It's got that homeless blood.
All right, so after he kills the homeless guy...
it gets loose. It's in the sewers, and it's getting around. It's heading towards town, and all the other teenage guys are trying to get lucky with the girls they took out after the football game, and one of them is Erica Eleniak. I think she's a former playmate or something, and this time she just gets to play with the blob and get eaten, and it hides in her bra while the guy is trying to cop a feel.
So yeah,
and
that is very
like,
confusing to me. The scene that Mike is talking about right now, the guy who's trying to hook up with the girl in the car, he goes to the back of his car, into the trunk, he's got a full bar back there, which I'm not gonna lie,
should.
that was awesome. I'm really sitting there, I'm like, holy shit, I should start doing that. Super illegal. Don't do that, guys.
Who needs luggage storage?
Exactly, guys, don't do that. It's super illegal, but it was super awesome.
Spare tires, yeah.
But somehow the blob made it into the car, killed the girl fast enough without anyone noticing. She didn't even make a sound. The guy
completely
gets back,
gore-free, yeah.
Yeah, guy gets back in the car. The girl is clearly passed out. Wink, wink. She's probably dead. And, he goes for a little, let's just say, he goes a little Weinstein right there, The girl's passed out. He's trying to slip his hand in the bra. Then all of a sudden, these blob tendrils come out from the girl. And her face is already melted and just grabs the guy. And from there, the scene pulls out from the car. And you just see him struggling right before he dies. My whole thing was just like, how the fuck did he not notice? Like, even a smell or anything.
Doesn't melted flesh sort of, or maybe it just got her from the inside. Maybe it just found something it could crawl into on a woman.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be too specific, but maybe it found an entryway and got in. Met her stomach. And
sure.
They did a little
stomach. That's exactly
co-digestion. Yeah, I don't really know. Who the hell knows? Maybe the blob wanted to get a little piece of that before he got a piece of that. Yeah, it's a crazy scene. It's weird. Her face sort of like implodes. It looks like it's made out of rubber. I don't know. But she still appears in the pages of publications like Playboy, and you can see her at her prime. I don't think there's any blob stills in there. But she's gone. She made her cameo there. I think she went on to star in a Steven Seagal movie after that, like Under Siege.
Oh my
creepier.
God, it's that girl?
That's her. Yeah, Under Siege. I think that's the girl.
I'm going back.
There you go. Check it out.
Oh my God, that is her.
Yes. I do my research, man.
Oh, that's good research, because I really didn't even notice that. Good call.
I may not know what phagocytosis is, but I know who Steven Seagal's co-stars are.
Yeah.
At least when he had co-stars. But yeah, that was Erica Eleniak. Yeah, she was a babe of the day. But that's it. She's dead. The blob bursts out of her implants or whatever it is, and she's dead. And there's a little quick foreshadow in this movie that I really like, but, it's a spoiler, so don't listen if you haven't seen this blob yet. But there's a little scene in the bedroom of Shawnee Smith there where you see a snow globe and a little flakes floating around inside the snow globe. Now, this is kind of like the end of the movie, which is going to happen, which is the only way you can really stop this blob. But we don't know that yet if we're just like first-time viewers, right? So yeah, don't worry about it. It's just a snow globe, 99-cent piece of shit. Don't worry. Not important to the plot. So where are we now?
The blob, after it kills the two people in the car, runs right into the sewers. Brian is still getting interrogated by the sheriff and the deputy, who apparently are the only law enforcement in this town.
Yeah, we don't need that many, right? It's usually, I don't think there's any criminals. I didn't think there was any crime committed in this town ever. It's just everyone just like goes to high school and plays football, or they dispense drugs at the pharmacy.
Yeah, I count
and
four deaths,
they fix cars.
I'm very confused.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's just for show. It's just for show. Maybe a tax write-off. Yeah, we got 4 employees.
This is a shit town. I don't care. Fuck this town.
Until the blob comes around, there's no action in this town at all. Just that's why everyone's at the game, man. Even like the Reverend is there screaming for the football. No, there's no sinners to absolve. Nothing. No confessions here. Nobody does anything wrong here.
Nothing like winning a football game with God on your side.
Even Flag there, he's a badass, but I don't know. They keep saying, just one more year, no more juvie hall.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What has he actually done? I don't know. Probably drinking a can of beer outside without the paper bag around it. I think that's like his biggest crime, from what I can tell. The character.
I was just to say, for a guy who is supposed to be like, a piece of shit in the town, everyone likes him except for the, the sheriff. Like the mechanic, that dude loves him. The lady in the diner who, wants that, sheriff dick. Apparently, she out of nowhere, she's like, oh, well, the grill is off, but, I'll make you a sandwich. And it's like, wow, I wish I knew somebody I could just walk into a diner and be like, yo, food would be great right now.
You just comp me some cherry pie. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the town badass, right? Can't you tell? Yeah, I'm good for it. So unfortunately, that nice diner waitress, Candy Clark, yeah, she's in a lot of movies I've seen. I should just run them off real quick because she's in American Graffiti and The Man Who Fell to Earth, the Bowie movie. I saw her in Blue Thunder, that helicopter flick that I really like. At Close Range, Cat's Eye, lots of shit. The Buffy movie.
Literally named like 4 or 5 movies I've never heard of or seen.
You never see. But okay, yeah, you don't have to see everything. It's all right. There's always time. I'm just saying that she acted in other stuff and she's good. And she's got that like all-American kind of, small town lady kind of charm to her. But, she's going into the kitchen and her chef there, her cook, is having a problem with the sink and he's trying to plunge it and you know what's coming.
Yeah.
And a blob comes shooting out of the drain and pulls the fucker right through the damn pipe. It's like a 2-inch diameter and his whole body goes through the damn pipe and starts bulging.
Actually, what we see from that scene is when the blob comes up out of the drain, it looks like it's trying to make like a hand or a fist grabbing the guy's face before it yanks him back down.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
It anthropomorphizes itself. Did I get that word right? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Anthropomorphication.
Yeah.
I think I messed it up, but yeah, either way,
it does. It could it almost gives you the finger before it comes, but it also shoots itself up onto the ceiling and starts spreading out, and the little tendrils start flying everywhere. I don't know if it could see or what it hunts by, whatever senses it's using, but it knows there's something out there to grab and stick onto and absorb, which is great. But you don't know how it finds its victims. You just know, just get the fuck out of there right now.
Exactly.
So it's cool. It's terrifying because it has no rationale. It has very little dialogue, as I recall.
Its only drive is just to eat and consume.
Eat. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's scary, right? You can't reason with it. You can't. It's cool. But then they try to explain it a little bit later in the movie. But first of all, it's just the blob, and then we get a little hint of what its weakness is when the two heroes there.
That'd be Brian and
Meg. Yep, that's right. It sounds like we're talking about Family Guy here almost, right? Doesn't it?
Oh God, you're right.
There's no Peter though. But then they hide in the meat freezer or whatever, and the blob doesn't want to come in. It doesn't like it. It touches the floor, gets a little bit of frostbite, and backs away. So
hates the cold.
Let's remember this. Yeah, it's important. But it likes nice warm bodies. So the sheriff is trying to go look in on our waitress there because he's got a crush on her too. But she goes out to the phone booth trying to call him, and she finds him floating in the blob as it engulfs the phone booth and gets her too.
That's what happened. I keep looking for the scene. I'm like, what happened to the goddamn sheriff?
Yeah, he went to the diner, and that's what they tell her on the phone right before the phone cuts off. He went to the diner, and you see him oozing through the blob with his face all stretched out.
There we go. Okay, because I swear to God, I kept thinking, I'm like, what happened to that guy? Because later on, all you see is the deputy. I'm like, where's the sheriff?
Yeah, no, he was in there. You must have took a piss break or something when that scene was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the blob, man.
Hold on. I'm rewatching it right now, and
you see his badge in there and everything.
I really don't recall this. Yeah.
It didn't like the badge, but it could have walked around impersonating a sheriff if it wanted to.
Here's my other problem too, though. As you can tell, the sheriff's office or the police department is literally a block away. Why the hell didn't she go just straight to the police station? You're right. Yep, there's the sheriff. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
that was really bothering me.
Yeah. You got to know when people get killed in the movie. Yeah,
he was the only one I didn't realize. I'm like, when did he die? Now I know. It was just a quick scene. Okay.
It was fast. Yeah, you didn't see him actually getting blobbed. I guess he just didn't want to deal with all the makeup effects and everything.
No, but again, my main problem is, why did the waitress / owner / whatever the hell she is, why didn't she just run to the police station? Why did she go into the phone booth? Oh, and don't forget, she pulled out money to make a 911 phone call.
Do you really have to put a quarter in to dial 911?
No, you don't.
Call collect.
Yeah. But my whole thing is why did she just run down the block to, the police station?
Maybe it's not that small a town. I don't know. I guess.
No, because remember, Brian gets let out at the police station because they realize they can't hold him there. So he walks a block and a half because he's having the argument with Meg. And then all of a sudden he's in the diner a second later with her. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I wasn't paying attention to the geography as you have, but yeah, you're probably right, man. I don't know. It's because you have to have a phone booth death, Otherwise you would just be running down the street and they wouldn't be able to do that whole phone booth gag, which looked awesome when a blob from the
it really did when it
crunches in. Do you mind? And you're so impatient. Here, go ahead. Who are you going to call?
Yeah.
All right. So she's gone. Sheriff's gone. The freaking deputy is the only hope we got for the authorities.
Oh, the priest. The priest shows up at the diner, or the father, or the minister, whatever he is.
Reverend guy. He sees the blob going down the drain. He thinks it's some sort of divine organism.
Sign from God.
Yeah, God always uses big red splotty blobs of jello to work in his mysterious ways. Oh, and he walks into the diner. He's like, hello, is anybody hurt? And he picks up a piece of frozen blob and sticks it in a little glass mason jar, seals it up, because I don't know. Why would you do that? It's just like a shiny piece of ice, but he must put 2 and 2 together, or maybe
just a random piece of purple ice.
It's nice and shiny ice. I don't know. It was probably in one of the testaments somewhere. I don't know. It's one of those.
I'd read the Bible, but it's very long.
Yeah, I got to see, just bookmark that blob part where it tells you the rapture or the day of judgment will come in the form of red slime. I don't know. But
The problem is I already know how it ends, so I'm just too lazy to read it.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's on Kindle now if you're really lazy. I don't know. You can just read it that way. So, okay, so what's next here? They're going through the woods, and they see all these, military unmarked vans and helicopters flying by, and a whole bunch of people are in these, like, hazard suits and biological containment shit going on.
Pretty much shit you never want to see in your hometown is a bunch of militarized CDC fucking germ warfare suits. Like, that's exactly what you don't want to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is, like, way beyond N95 masks here. Everything is, like... You got to be completely protected. It's like a plague, like that you've never known before. So this crew is headed up by a Dr. Meadows, played by Joe Seneca, who I can only remember from Crossroads, the guy who taught Ralph Macchio how to fake guitar playing against Steve Vai, which is a complete fantasy to me. But I think he's a musician himself. But here he is. He's just like, instead of being some bluesy jazz guy, he's just Dr. Meadows. Yes,
he's the head researcher guy in charge of this whole thing. And by the way,
trust him.
This movie takes place all in one night.
Yeah, which is great. It feels like the continuity and the timeline is all... It's very easy to stick with the movie because it doesn't jump around too much. It's like a nice 90-minute romp, and I think it's still dark when it ends. It's like the day... Yep. It starts in the daytime, and it just goes all night. Nobody sleeps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good, yeah.
It's pretty much like how you would describe like a really shitty, very nerve-wracking, intense night of horror.
Right, and it was only supposed to be like a first date. It's pretty shitty. Yep. A lot of people died, and nobody really got lucky, I don't think, in the entire movie, unfortunately. But there's always tomorrow, right? The next day. I don't know. Oh, her kid brother goes and sneaks out to the movie. Goes to see.
Yeah. I forgot about the kid brother and the stupid, the friend that when they go see the Jason ripoff in the theater.
It's called Garden Tool Massacre. Yeah. It's really good. And it's got some great dialogue in there. It's like, wait a minute. Hockey season ended months ago.
Exactly. It's some of the best cliche, like, crappy slasher movie lines.
I would sneak out to go see that too. I don't care. Back then, I was like, I couldn't get enough of that crap. Like any creative way of murdering somebody cinematically.
What I miss really is like the amount of screams in the movie theater. Like I miss going to horror movies in the theater and just like people freaking out like that at horror movies.
And then popcorn going airborne. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. Now we just watch the crap at home, but it ain't the same. If you're not afraid of catching the coronavirus, you should just go to the scary movies, and they still make a few that are that good. It's back then. This was a good one though. And the Blob has a scene in the movie where people are being attacked. I guess one of the main things about going to see the Blob at the theater is that the Blob actually gets into the movie theater and starts killing everybody and coming out the front doors and oozing out. And that was like the catch clip, I guess, of the old Blob. I don't think they do it in this one, but in the old Blob, it actually starts coming out the front of the theater. Like every doorway is blob full of this thing oozing out of the movie theater. I guess they just built a little miniature theater, and it was cool. Yeah, I like that. It's a good way to make you go see it or wait till it comes out on video. It is awesome. But then the Blob starts killing people, kills the projectionist. Very cool scene where he's stuck to the ceiling and his yo-yo comes down.
Probably one of the best scenes where the Blob is actually just hanging out on the ceiling, and then it just starts releasing tendrils and sucking people up into itself, absorbing them.
Yeah. Maybe it wants to watch the movie too, I guess. It gets the best seat in the house.
Yeah, well,
snacks.
Actually, one of the best horror scenes that freaked me out as a kid is when Meg goes in and she sees like a girl who's laying on the ground. She's like, "Oh shit, let me go try and get her up," and all of a sudden half her face is melted.
Trying to peel her off the floor like a piece of gum. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that fucked me up as a kid.
I love it. Yeah, you see like half dissolved bodies. It just took a bite out of you and moved on to somebody else. So awesome. But then it chases them down to the sewer, and then it starts sticking its little tendrils in and singeing her hair as it's going down. That was a little bit weird too. But yeah, little bits of blob.
Hair is organic, so it would make sense. My whole issue is like a whole movie theater full of people. Why did the Blob have a murder boner for these three?
I don't know. Yeah, it liked her hair. Her hairspray smelled nice. I don't know what it was. She probably had that old '80s Aquanet or whatever the fuck she put in there.
Oh, the shit that killed the ozone? Yeah.
Yeah, that probably makes the Blob strong. It's like vitamins for that thing. And the ozone is probably where the Blob came from, because as they explain later, this thing didn't just come from space. It's actually an experiment that the government shot out into space, and it probably merged with some alien bacteria and came back down to just be a weapon. They want to use it as a weapon.
This is the issue that I have with most movies in this era, is that it's always something about the fucking Russians. How little I give a shit about that.
I don't know if there was any Russians involved.
No. They said that they were gonna use it against the Russians.
Oh, well, they want to use it as, I guess, we're gonna outdo them with our weaponized
some bullshit
thing.
like that. And I'm like, oh, fuck the Russians. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, fuck Sputnik. We got a blob.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I don't really understand. It was the Cold War, right? It's the 80s, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is also, during the time when American experiments apparently they're just terrible and they just get out.
Yeah, well, all right, we never get it right. That's why there's like 7 Resident Evil movies, because our biological warfare somebody dropped it and it created like an army of zombies. Yeah, well, it's always got to be the government. It's either the government or the police. But the teenagers with the leather jackets and motorcycles always prevail. They always save the day. The other kid, though, one of the kids, her brother's little buddy there, gets eaten by the blob. Look out for the rat. What rat?
So here's the thing.
Under the water.
I love that in this movie because I completely forgot how much, in the 80s and 90s, they just killed kids. And you got to see it. It's not like, today, like when you barely get to see the clown actually much. No. They did not care about children in these movies at all. You saw every bit of their death.
Are you talking about like the new It's? Like, they'll kill one kid at the beginning just to get your attention.
But you don't actually see the death. Like, you see like maybe the bite, but then like it's not really showing anything.
I think the new It did a nice dismembering of Georgie there with the arm coming off and the blood all over the street. And that was pretty satisfying compared to the old It, where you don't see anything except the camera panning away. But yeah, they killed kids, man. At least just one good kid death in a movie where it counts. And like the kid was obnoxious. He deserved it anyway.
Exactly.
Someone's going to get fed to the blob.
This was one of the kids where you're just like, oh, will someone please kill him? Oh, thank you. Yeah. He's dead. Awesome.
Yeah, check out the body on the blonde. Well, yeah. Sorry. He was a bad influence, so you don't want that kind of kid around your little brother. So
I was that kid.
And you turned out fine. Watch out when you're swimming through the sewer. Just make sure there's nothing coming up. The water must not have been cold either, because the blob would have been like, it's freezing in here. And he wouldn't be hiding under the water. They could have done some cool, like, underwater blob swimming effects, But
probably ran out of money for that.
They didn't have the tech. Maybe next time around, if they ever remake it again,
I hope
which I'm sure it's inevitable. But this was about as good as you need it to be.
Exactly. It's a great classic. Leave it the way it is. I'm actually enjoying it.
If there's a little better special effects you could do, it's kind of like, all right, it's gonna just look CGI anyway. I mean, nobody's gonna actually build a blob. Which, by the way, the blob in this movie was made from Methocel, which is a milkshake thickening agent. So, all right, that's the last time I'm going to Johnny Rockets and ordering anything. No more Shake Shack for me. Fuck that. Yeah. Why is it red? I just drink it. It's delicious.
All right.
So the kid gets out because he's a kid and he can fit. Flag is riding his motorcycle through the sewers,
which is really badass the way he does that. Like a
it is.
Boss.
He goes around like the side of the pipe when the blob is in his path and he has to go past. He just like banks sideways and uses centrifugal force or whatever to drive sideways along the pipe and past the blob. Can't throw its tendrils out quick enough to catch him.
So one of the scenes that actually really annoys me is so me and you work in the medical field. Like, we've been in hospitals before. We've seen some things.
I've put people in hospitals before, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, the scene when the soldiers and the doctors go to the sterile tent in the middle of town and they start taking their gear off, they completely just contaminated that whole area. It makes no sense.
Oh, yeah. They have to dispose of it properly and peel the gloves off a certain way and have the biohazard can. Yeah, the canister to throw your biohazard stuff in.
Yeah, also, if another thing for people that are giant movie nerds, from the beginning of the movie, the football scene, count how many people are actually wearing mouthpieces.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Well, they have dialogue, right?
No, yeah, exactly. None of them were wearing mouthpieces.
Yeah, but dude, it's high school football, right?
And I looked up. In 1962 is when high schools were now mandatory to wear mouth guards during football.
Well, they were a bunch of rebellious teens, and they said, fuck this mouth guard. I don't want no mouth guard.
Yeah, if you've ever played football, you know goddamn well you will never say fuck this mouth guard.
Well, I don't know. I played two-hand touch a little bit back in the day, I think, and co-ed two-hand touch was before all this,
I see what you're getting at, Mike. Yeah, I see what you're getting at.
That's it. Yeah, I didn't need a mouth guard. My mouth needed to be as free as possible. Yeah. And then after I got out of jail, I decided, all right, no more football. I'm just going to watch movies now. Sports are off. I don't know. But you really got the details. I don't pick out these things at all. I really don't know.
So I hate that I get older now and I notice these things in movies.
Yeah.
It's not on purpose. Like, I just notice it. Anyway, not the point.
But the people making this movie were at least maybe our age when they did it. And they should have been a little bit more detail oriented. I don't know. So it goes. They pull it out of the ground. The meteor actually has like a metallic bottom, and it was something we shot into space for weapons research.
It has a giant American flag on it.
Yeah, that's not an alien blob thing. That's us, man. That's our patriotic biohazard shit that we shot up, and now it's coming back and taking revenge.
If you're doing secret biological experiments, which we all know biological warfare is illegal according to the Geneva Convention.
That's why the government can do it.
Well, my whole thing is,
they make the law.
If you're doing illegal war crime-esque experimentations, you probably don't want to brand the prison that you have your experiments in. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the giant American flag on the side of that meteor. I'm just like, probably would have been smarter if you put like a Russian or a Chinese flag on it.
Yeah, just like blackmail another country. Just
exactly.
It's your fault. This is your Russian bacteria. Look, it's got your flag on it. Yeah.
Clearly it's yours.
Okay. Yeah, they should have thought about that. Maybe they were just fucking proud. Like, that's right, man. Go USA. Shoot this bacteria up into space. We're going to kick those Reds' asses with our red blob thing.
Now, I don't know where this movie actually takes place, or like, obviously it's a small town in the mountains somewhere, and I assume like the Midwest.
Yeah,
is it normal to have drain hole, gutters in the, not gutters, what do you call them? Like, what's that thing that Georgie got dragged into?
It's just like a gutter. I don't know.
Yeah, a sewer gutter. Is it normal to have them big enough for middle school children to fit through?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I just don't know, because, we're from New York. I've never fucking seen that.
I never used to try to climb down into the sewer, even if I could fit. Well, maybe they flood a lot. They're near a lake or a really large body of water, and they need the biggest possible opening so that the streets don't flood.
See, that makes sense. Thank you, Mike.
There you go.
Because they never actually, explained why you have drains, big enough for, young children to fit through. It seems like a very shitty design flaw.
You got some big rats around here, these parts, and sometimes blobs come in and out. You want to let them pass through. Yeah. I'm not sure, but that's it. Maybe they just didn't have the schematics. But that's
even
my
the fucking chuds had to go through a manhole.
That's right, chuds. There you go. You know your monsters. Chuds.
Yeah.
They're trapped in the sewer, and then the government military biohazard suit guys are in there, and everyone's getting eaten by blobs. And then they get locked in the sewer because he's infected, he's contagious, and it's trying to get paranoia through the town. And they lock everybody in there, and they blow the manhole and a truck up with the bazooka that they get from one of the military guys. And Dr. Meadows gets blobbed from beneath and goes up his helmet. It's a very cool death scene, and he's gone. He gets pulled down in the ground, and somebody throws a grenade down there thinking that's going to do it.
All it does is just piss it off.
It pisses it off, and it could conceivably blow it up into 100 little blobs.
Yeah, which, by the way, how did Brian know how to use the rocket launcher in the sewer?
I don't know. Would you just flip it open and press the trigger, man? I don't know.
Well, here's my thing.
It's a safety catch.
I go out and shoot guns with my friends all the time. If you handed me a rocket launcher, I'd have no fucking idea how to use it. And the scientist guy who had it, he even said, he's like, why would they give this to us? I don't know how to use this thing.
You just watch enough war movies, you figure it out. I don't know.
I guess so, because literally in my head, I'm like, how the fuck did he figure that out? Because
at least, dude, you got a 50-50 chance of firing it in the correct direction anyways, right? So
that's a shitty gamble.
Fire the open end. I don't know, dude. Just
dog shit gamble.
It's your only chance. If you have a weapon, even if you don't know how to use it anyway. It's like, what's the worst that could happen? A blob gets you, right?
Yeah.
Or you blow your own head off, which probably is a blessing and an easier way to go.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay. That being said, I have no idea how to fire a bazooka either, but I would try.
Yeah.
The thing gets out, and it's trying to kill everybody in town hall, and somehow, the guy comes with a snowblower from the garage, and he drives it along. His mechanic buddy shows up, and they have a big fight with the machine guns, and Blob is not getting at all affected by the bullets, but somehow they fire, I think, a fire extinguisher at it, because they got nothing else. It's like, oh, it's the cold. I can't stand the cold.
Yeah, Meg figured it out because she was in the freezer with Brian.
Yeah, or she saw the original Blob. I think she's old enough. So yeah, they find out that the cold stops it. So she wants to use that big giant ice truck to kill it. And they have some more detonating explosive thingies from the military guys. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing they were there. Because you know how to pull a pin out of a grenade, right? I guess that's easy enough.
Yeah, but remember, that wasn't a regular grenade. That was a satchel bag with a charge on it.
Yeah, I've seen enough of those movies too. It looks like a thing of clay with a little thing, a little clock stuck on the top. You just,
I guess
set the timer.
I've never played with a grenade, so
set the timer. Yeah. When the alarm goes off, boom, it's it. It blows up, and the ice gets all over, and it freezes the blob all over the place. It's gotten pretty damn big by now. It's like
my whole thing is too. So as the blob, breaks through the sewers and it juts out of the floor. starts killing and eating everyone. The rest of the survivors are going into City Hall. Why the fuck would you barricade the doors and just not run through the... Like, is there no back door?
Oh, yeah.
The first thing the guys start saying is barricaded. I'm like, why? Why would you barricade that? Like, just run. Like,
just keep running.
Yeah.
I
can't
think
imagine it being too fast.
It looks pretty fast in this movie, but yeah, as long as you get a little distance from it. And by the way, the original Blob, starring Steve McQueen, he didn't have to fight the damn Blob. All he needed to do was jump into his fucking Mustang GT and just bullet his ass out of there. That thing would never catch up to him. He'd be dust by the time it even got halfway there. You just need some speed, man. Just put some miles between you. Go to another town. This one sucks anyway.
Yeah. That was Brian's whole thing. He's like, I can't wait to leave this goddamn town.
Yeah, well, what are you waiting for? If you left, you'd never have to meet the Blob at all.
Yeah.
Or just go someplace with a lot of ice, you know. Go skiing, man. Somewhere nice, Switzerland. I don't know, someplace like that.
Anyway,
Sorry, so yeah, they freeze the Blob, and they got to get it into the ice house. Or I don't know how they don't show you how they scoop it up and take it to the ice house. You just have to leave that to the imagination, I guess.
Movie goddamn magic and a dump truck.
Yeah, but then it just segues into this little coda with the Reverend there, who lost one of his eyes getting burned by some sparks or something during one of those action sequences. So he's got a patch on his eye. He looks all demented, and he's preaching. And
this guy does like the real Wrath of God shit. Like, yes, this is the kind of shit that like you see, and you're like, why would I ever join your religion? Your God sounds like such a depressed asshole.
Yeah, but you see what just happened? You see that big red thing that ate everybody? That's the judgment coming for you.
Yeah.
And then this actor, by the way, he was actually in one of those old Blob movies playing a hobo with a patch. It's the same guy, which I didn't know. I just read the trivia. But all right, he's a much more important character in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Who also happened to appear in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and The Untouchables. So, hey, all right.
Yeah.
But he was in The Blob. So, again, that would be like the high point of my career. No matter what other movies I was in, if I was in The Blob, especially if I was in The Blob, like as one of its victims, I would be very proud. I would put that on my resume.
Yeah.
But he just gives his little sermon, and everyone's like thinking, when's the judgment coming, and blah, blah, blah. And he has a little jar of Blob, which is now thawed out. And it's like wiggling around inside the jar. It's like, well, the Lord will give me a sign.
Yeah, it's just pretty much opening up for a sequel that sadly we never got.
Nah, that'd be great if there's some crazy preacher, like, you know, sending blobs out to kill everybody who didn't say all their Hail Marys. That'd be awesome.
Here's the thing. If you just pick the right city, no way this would ever get stopped. Anywhere like California, like San Francisco, San Diego, because it never gets cold there.
Oh, yeah, Florida.
Texas never gets cold. Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe it does, but like Florida. Anywhere in Florida, you just let it loose, you fucked. That's the end of it.
A couple of alligators getting absorbed by a blob. We should set this, I think in like all the most humid climates imaginable. Like in the desert, maybe. I could do like a Blob movie in the desert, and it just comes out of the sand, you know? Like maybe they should mix it, like cross Blob with Dune. It would be fucking awesome. Somebody's got to do that. And maybe after a few hits of spice, you know, you'll be high enough to write that screenplay. But here's where the Blob movie ends.
It's an amazing movie from the 80s. You should totally watch it. It's fucking awesome. And it's just a fun monster movie.
Yeah, it is. And I like, this is another just throwaway thing, but during the end credits, there's a pretty cool 80s rock song by a Scandinavian band called Alien. Brave New Love has absolutely nothing to do with the movie, the plot, or anything else. It's just like, it's a Brave New Love, you know, and they're a cool band. And I bought their album for like $3.99 one day when I just saw it. Like, they're called Alien. They must be awesome. You know, I love that shit. And yeah, they're good. And they're in the credits. They have 2 songs in the movie, because most of these old movies, you know, they have to have a lot of like soundtrack tie-ins, and not a lot of bands played in these Blob horror type movies, but there is music in the movie. It's just minimal kind of electronic shit. Creepy, good. It's a great movie. Yeah, I loved it. It was one of my favorite remakes. When you remake an old ass movie that really needs some special effect upgrade and just totally changes the game, The Thing, The Fly, things like that. It's like I can watch the original.
Shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah, if it could fit through the cracks, you're not safe, you know. And
exactly.
just keep on running and keep a cold drink handy. You just chuck your. Throw your mint julep at it, man, with all that nice crushed ice, and you got a chance, man. You might just get away.
Yeah. Nice.
All right, hey, 7-Eleven. That's where you got to hang out, man. Until the Slurpee machine breaks down, you'll be all right. And you can disguise it. You can camouflage yourself, you know, just like throw out a big pile of Slurpee. Blob will think it could like mate with it, and then just one touch, and you're freezing. And that's it. You foiled it, and you can get away. Well, who knows if there's ever going to be a remake or a continuation, but that was good. That's a cool movie. I'm glad you watched it and liked it and reviewed it with me here. So.
Well, it's been a while since we've actually, you know, agreed on a movie, you know, because generally we hate and like, we're generally opposites.
We are like opposite sides of the coin on most things, which is a lot of fun, I gotta admit. But yeah, if a movie's just awesome, we could just, you know.
Oh, we could just enjoy it, yeah.
Have a fun time. Yeah, we're never going to have like a really bad fight over a movie we're never going to speak again, I'm sure.
We
And
should.
if Last Jedi didn't do it, yeah, no, we're gonna have to find one. Let me see, because it just is not easy. I mean, AVP, we had a little bit of a difference with that.
Yes, we do.
But and Last Jedi, I keep trying to find reasons to like it. But if I was Ryan Johnson, and I wanted to talk to you on a podcast, yeah, that'd be the last time I ever converse with anybody, I think.
Oh yeah, I would just shit all over him. And Prometheus, I despise that movie.
All right. Well, I realize everything you pointed out that's wrong with it, and I just try to just let it go, man.
Like I said, I can't unnotice these things. I really hate that I notice it.
Got to just throw logic out the window, man, because they're movies. I know. I'm not trying to use it as like a textbook to like live life by or like do science by. I would never actually embark on a mission using the logic that these movies use, because I would be dead before I left the earth. But yeah, they're fun movies, and Blob is cool. You keep it simple. You don't need to have that much tech or science. Otherwise, you just shoot yourself in the foot and you make an ass of yourself and make people hate your movie when they shouldn't. But for now, I'll sign off, and thanks for being on the Missing Reel again. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, Mike, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, and I always have fun with this.
The rest of you, stay out of the warm climates and don't get absorbed or phagocyted. And see you all next time.
Mm-hmm. Have a good one.
When, Reverend?
Excuse me?
The next episode. How far off?
The Lord will give me a sign.